is the Next Level Loan Officers podcast. To learn more about Next Level Loan Officers, go to becomenl.com.
Well, welcome back. We've got another episode here of the Next Level Loan Officers podcast. Shane Kidwell joining me here in the studios today. Shane, I don't know if you know this, but this is the #1 podcast for loan officers by loan officers practically anywhere in the world.
Well, I mean, if I wasn't born under a rock, I do know this. It's also National Polo Day, I guess, for you and I.
Oh, yes. And hat, polo hat.
So if you guys are watching we also launch our podcasts on as a video as well. So you can always watch the video version of our podcast. It's the #1 podcast for originators by originators because we pull back the curtain on what's working and what isn't. And what we've done to pivot. I think the pivot after you learn what doesn't work is many times more powerful and impactful than just doing more of what works.
You know, that's a great point. I think oftentimes we've talked about how when you and I started in this business, you know, a while ago, we'll just leave it there. You know, a lot of what we do now at that time, it was like trying to navigate through a forest, right? We're hacking away at bushes and trees and trying to clear a path. And what's cool now is the community that we've built. It's like a 6-lane superhighway, right? Like you don't have to go through the same struggles, challenges, things that we went through. Like we'll tell you, hey, don't hit that pothole there. Hey, don't do that here. You know, to your point, it's almost what we've learned not to do is almost equally as valuable as what we've learned.
Probably more.
Maybe so more. Yeah. It would certainly avoid a lot of pain. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today, Shane, is like, you know, I think, and I know our audience is a lot of loan officers who are maybe newer to the business, or maybe they're just kind of struggling to find themselves in this new market. Maybe you were really into refinances or relocation loans or something like that. Now all of a sudden you find yourself, you know, swimming in a pool that's a little bit more unfamiliar. And so we have within our community a lot of strategies and some very specific ones that we kind of help guide people through, depending on what level you're at and what kind of level of accountability that you are desiring. And so we kind of want to break that down. This is going to be a multi-part series, so buckle up because you're going to be with us for a little bit, but we're going to kind of talk through, just some of the different 90-day seasons that we operate in.
Yeah. And really what we're going to be talking about are non-negotiables that you create for your life, and with our help and some guidance. And again, because we've learned what hasn't worked, what doesn't work. We've had our own failures and we've learned a lot from that and created some incredible success. I think an analogy to frame this conversation for the group is, you know, if no one had ever worked out at a gym and we all had an equal playing field and we said, hey, where do we start? Well, we're not going to go to the highly technical, you know, Pilates room with 400 pounds of weight over our head and try to do, you know, these movements. We're going to start basic. Right. And the #1 thing that my coach would tell me is, did you show up? Right. Okay. Like you can't lift a weight if you don't enter the gym. Right. And you can't lift a weight well if you haven't gone through the curriculum and the training to lift it well. And then once you do that, what are you doing every day? Well, you do cardio every day. You have nutrition plans every day. Well, then as you start to evolve and elevate your game, you're starting to add more technical routines and things like that. That's really how we designed the seasons within Next Level. Yep. And we intentionally designed these seasons to be 90 days because we know, again, I know from personal failure, my 12-month goals are laughable. You know, it's so hard to hit a bullseye that's 15 miles away. Right. You put that bullseye 20 yards in front of me and I can hit it. So we want these to be achievable. We want to have, and imagine if you could get done in 90 days, what most people get done in a year. If every year you're hanging out with Next Level, you're getting 4 years of work and growth and development done, you're winning. Yep. So the seasons are intentionally designed for 90 days. Now, we have non-negotiables that are just true no matter where you're at in your business or what lane on the highway you're in. Whether you're in the paid express lane, the toll lane, as they call it down there in Dallas, or you're on the far right lane, just merging onto the freeway, first time driving your car on the highway. And those are first and foremost ATMs.
Yep.
ATMs are the actions that matter. These are the things that you cannot argue that are not important to do. And if you try to, by the time you're done arguing that they're not important, I've already done them and proved that they are important.
Yep.
Right. This is like, again, going to the gym and doing cardio for 30 minutes, having a good nutrition plan. Those are actions that matter, that are always true, no matter where you're at in your business, no matter what market you're in.
That's correct.
So we always want to start from a base of non-negotiables, ATMs, and really, quite frankly, showing up. I can't tell you how hard it is to get people to show up.
Oh, I know.
You see some of these top producers, and I think my third year full-time in the business, I did like 60 million. And like at the time that felt great, right? At the time it was on the Scotsman's Guide or whatever that was. But really, and so people would say, well, how'd you do it? You're 3 years in the business or 2 years in the business. You'd been this, you've been that. And there's hundreds of stories like this and many that are more memorable than mine. But when they asked me what I did and I tried to break it down, the reality was I showed up every day.
Yeah.
Like you showed up every day. How did we build next level from nothing with no experience? We showed up every day. So what we really want to get into, and this is going to be what I'm really excited is, this is going to be a 6-part series that we're going to break down, today being part 1 of really breaking down how do you go from merging onto the freeway, first time in a car, white knuckling it, you're going 40 when it's 60, to getting in the toll lane and going 80 when everyone's at a dead stop. How do you do that?
Yeah, that you're right. And that's it. And I'm super excited about this. And, and to me, it all starts with this concept of ATMs, Shane, and we talk about this a lot. If you're in our group, you've heard this term, you're probably like, yeah, I get it. But let's just break that down real quick, Shane, because I think that's going to be a core piece of this conversation across all of this, is really what is that? And then how do you show up to do them, right? So when we say ATMs, this is actions that matter, right? So when we're talking about actions that matter, these are activities that we define them using three kind of metrics. One, it's a money-making activity. Let's just start there. 2, that you're good at doing it. And 3, that you like to do it, right? So those are kind of the criteria. Now, we understand there's going to be things in your day that don't fall into that bucket. And for some of you that are just getting started in the business, you're going to wear a lot of hats. You're going to do a lot of things that are not ATMs. But the average loan officer, Shane, the average loan officer spends less than 15 minutes a week doing any kind of ATM activity. And we know that from, all the seminars and coaching and everything that we've done. Like, we know this to be true. And so for us, when we think about ATMs, it's just about getting you to do a little bit more, right? Imagine if you're an LO currently and 15 minutes a week is dedicated to doing these money-making activities. I mean, imagine if you just took that and said, well, 15 minutes a day, right? I just 5 times what I was doing before. Am I going to see a different result? 100%. You can't help but not get a different result. So when we talk about showing up, a lot of times it's just doing the ATM consistently. If I say I'm going to do it for 15 minutes a day, then I'm going to do it 15 minutes a day. If one of my ATMs, just as an example, is posting on social media every day, well, then that's what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to leave the office. I'm not going to go home. I'm not going to close my computer for the day until that activity is complete. And it's that consistency right there is what separates those who have an incredible career in this mortgage world versus those that kind of struggle with the 1, 2, 3 loans a month. It's all down to that. And that's where we kind of start. So kick us off with kind of the first 90-day season that we talk about.
Yeah. And so guys and gals, we have several different 90-day seasons. The first one, and it's labeled this intentionally as Foundation 90. And this is, now you don't have to be new in the business to need to have the foundations worked out, right? And I would say that what we found in the last 3 to 5 years, let's call it the last mortgage cycle, however you define that, it was a season of overabundance. It was a season of relative easy, it was relatively easy to close a loan. It was relatively easy to get a lead. It was relatively easy to make good money. Mm-hmm. The foundation was flawed for most originators. I can get online right now and find many influencers online who are originators that if you didn't know, you'd think they were thriving, they were flying private, and they're dead broke.
Right.
So Foundation 90 is the core of where everyone needs to begin. And it's, as you mentioned, there are two things we track specifically within Foundation 90. How many days did you execute your ATMs? So we're not even telling you what to do. We're just asking you to do something every day. You know, when I worked with David Goggins and I paid him to make me very uncomfortable, I basically paid a grown man to yell at me every Sunday night on the phone.
That's scary. That's scary.
I was sweating over the phone. One of the most, well-spoken things that we went through was just creating consistency in life, right? It was every time I'd leave my door, I'd do 10 push-ups. Every time I'd do a certain thing, I'd do a certain thing. It's that muscle memory. You need to have muscle memory in your business every day. If you know, because again, you said 15 minutes a week, the average originator does something to generate future revenue, not current revenue.
Right.
Not like, I got to talk to the client because I've got to take this loan app because future revenue, right? We know that if you did that 5 days a week for 15 minutes a day, that's 5 times what the average originator is doing. Right. I would probably be able to articulate an argument that if you simply did that, you're probably going from white knuckle merging onto the freeway at 30 to the express lane.
Yeah.
Just that alone.
Well, and you get, I know there's a lot of loan officers listening to this that can relate to the loan officer roller coaster, right? It's the good month, bad month, good month, bad month. Realtors suffer from the same thing. It's a disease, and the cure for that is being more consistent in your ATMs. I'm 100%. If I was a doctor and you came to me and you said, this is my symptom, I'm writing you a prescription for more consistent ATMs because it'll cure it every time. Every single time it'll cure it, because what we don't do is we get a couple loans and within all of a sudden we start being inconsistent in our forward marketing activities.
100%.
And we lose sight of, not today, to your point, hey, today's baked, right? Like that cake is baked. What we're looking at is 30 to 60 days down the road.
Guys, our goal of creating Next Level was to create generational wealth that was done in a healthy way for more people. If you show up every day, that is a huge step in the right direction. Number 2, the second ATM we track in Foundation 90 that all originators should have is, did you do your homework? Guys, Kellen, you went to an esteemed university.
Thank you.
Texas Christian University, is that right? TCU?
Right here, yes.
And I went to the University of Washington, another esteemed university. I can tell you that when I went to class every day, I performed significantly better than the class where I'm like, man, I can kind of sort of show up. They don't take attendance. I can get to the test. I just didn't show up as well. So in Foundation 90, what we want to do is build that foundational set of habits to help you get from merging on the freeway to the express lane. And it's 2 things. It's how many days did you execute on your ATMs? Commit to 15 minutes a day doing something. And if you need to know what to do, we've got hundreds of strategies. Again, the problem isn't lack of ideas. The problem is lack of execution on the ideas.
Consistent execution.
Consistent execution. Number 1 is how many days did you execute your ATMs? Number 2, how many days did you do your homework or your classes? And if you don't have homework or classes, it's very easy to get that for free within the Next Level community. Foundation 90 is a free course that takes you 90 days. There's curriculum, there's trainings, there's ideas, right? So that's the first season, Foundation 90, a 90-day season that, is really building the basics. Now, our second season is Power 90. Power 90 is a part of our pro membership, but it's taking it to the next level because we're assuming that people who have financially invested in their growth are going to be showing up. Like, again, if I got an access to free university online, I'm less likely to show up than if I paid out of my own pocket, worked 3 summer jobs, and had to attend in person. So we assume you show up. We assume you do your homework. Now we want to track the 3 most impactful ATMs. And we've asked thousands of originators. Gallup has done polls on this. This is not Shane and Kellen making this up. This is verifiable and it's factual. We call this our 3-2-1 strategy. First and foremost, let's go to the one. You need to be meeting with one person every day. Now, we say face to face. That doesn't mean belly to belly. It might mean that you're doing it through Zoom. It may be a FaceTime video with somebody who's impactful in your life.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a real estate agent. It needs to be somebody that moves the needle for your business.
Yep.
Right? Now, if that's a personal trainer who has a huge network of cross-fitting clients that are all first-time home buyers, that's fantastic, right? We don't want to say that you have to meet with 50 agents every Monday, because that would assume that everybody has the same experience and the same environment, which would be really naive. Mm-hmm. But it starts with meeting with one person, if you can, in person, but face-to-face, one face-to-face meeting. 2, you need to be engaging in social media, and you need to do that at least twice a day through organic curated posting.
Yep.
Now, we see a lot of people copy, paste, repeat. It doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It's never worked. It never will work. So you can't count as an ATM copying Kellen's post and reposting it. That doesn't count. Now, it's not hard to create organic content. You and I are doing this, and I've taken no official trainings on social media with the exception of this one-time course by this one guy years ago.
Yep.
We have many courses on how to leverage social media with many awesome, really influential and smart people. Create 2 organic posts every day. And to make it really simple, one early in the day, one later in the day. You define that based on your market, your goals, your intentions. For me, it might be at 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning. I get very strategic based on the platform that I'm using.
Yep.
So number one face-to-face meeting a work day. Number 2 social media posts, organic social media posts every day. And 3, you need to be having 3 conversations with people that you haven't engaged with in the last 90 to 180 days. Now, you might say, well, what if I talked to him 179 days ago? Give him a call. You'll find that if you don't overthink this, you'll look back 3, 6, 9, 12 months from now, and you'll be in a much better place.
Yeah, don't think, just do.
Just
right?
do it. The art of winning is executing, not thinking about executing.
Yep.
So that's Power 90. Right? Power 90 is, hey, we're already assuming that you're doing the foundational items. You're showing up daily and you're doing the work that you committed to doing. Yep. Now we're asking you to do 3 new conversations with people that you haven't talked to in a while. We're asking you to post twice organically online. And we're asking you to have 1 face-to-face meeting a day. Now, if we really, really were honest, you could accomplish all of this in an hour or less a day very easily. If you're like, yeah, but Shane, I hang out with this realtor and they talk for 3 hours. Gang, if you're hanging out with an agent for 3 hours, you better be hearing dollar signs as you're talking, or you just aren't disengaging effectively when you know the conversation has no more value.
Right. And a lot of people will say, well, Shane, I just got a lot of stuff I got to do during the day. My processor's out, my this, my that. Yeah. Listen, an hour, which still leaves you, if you work an 8-hour day, 7 hours remaining in your day to accomplish whatever you need to. Right.
And I know a lot of people are saying, well, Shane, can you give me examples of the conversations or examples of the posts? That's the beauty of the next 5 sessions. We're going to break down on each session one of these categories and go into great detail and length into discussing the best way to create a conversation, the best, most impactful way to have a face-to-face meeting, how to ask for that meeting, how to be posting organically and thoughtfully. So guys, don't worry. This will be coming in future episodes. And then really, I would say that 3rd season, which by this point, if you've done what you say you're going to do, you show up every day, you're doing your homework, you're engaging with people online, you're having face-to-face meetings, you're going out and creating conversations with new people or people that you haven't seen in a while, you're already in a position to afford private coaching, group coaching, investing in yourself. We have a group called Elevate 90. And so we have a 90-day season that includes live coaching, accountability, all kinds of other stuff. But we add to the 3-2-1 ATM strategy, and we add a 5 and a 4. Guys, we got to make this simple. I'm a simple-minded guy. It's got to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we've already done the 1, 2, and the 3. You need to be adding 4 private messages, which could be a text, a video message, a Facebook message, social media messaging, DMs to your network.
No.
You define your network. Again, my network might be retired firemen. Your network might be TCU grads. It might be doctors and nurses who are going to be leveraging a program you offer. It could be all of the above. That's irrelevant. Again, execution is more important than talking about how you execute. So again, you want to be doing 4 private messages, text messages, DMs. Again, this is just being authentically cool. Like the people that you like in your life the most are the ones that are engaging with you the most often.
Right.
And 5, you need to be interacting with 5 different posts, people, threads on social media. So we've already asked you to create your own posts. Now we're asking you to engage with others. And here's where this gets cool. If I'm engaging with at least 5 different posts, 5 different people every day on social media, I'm now private messaging 4 people. I'm now creating new conversations with 3 people. I'm posting organically twice and I'm doing 1 face-to-face. It becomes really easy to have 1 face-to-face if I'm doing the 2, the 3, and the 4. It becomes really easy to post twice a day when I'm doing the 3, the 4, and the 5. It becomes really easy to show up Monday through Friday when I have all these cool things I'm doing that are driving future revenue.
Right. And I'll tell you too. So we have a Elevate 90 group going through right now. And I mean, we said it earlier, right? Like this formula, these things, we've massaged this over years, right? This is like, okay, we know this works, right? It's like a secret formula. And what's funny is we're about halfway through this current Elevate 90 group, right? And it's like clockwork, man. So we have a tracker that tracks all this and dashboards so we can see it. It is no like coincidence that the people, like when we look at it, it's like those who had the most interactions, the most messages, the most conversations, and you look all the way down the line, it's like those people had the most applications that week as well, right? Or they had them the following week, right? It's like these aren't coincidences. This is true formula stuff, right? And so I think a lot of loan officers think, well, this won't work for me. It's pie in the sky. It doesn't work. It's not real. That is not true. We have live people going through this right now, and we track all the results, and we'll track all the results for you too, and sit here and say, hey, listen, this is what happened when you did X and Y. This is what the result was. I'll give you a great example. We have a guy in our group, Nate Dogg from Florida, and Nate's actually in my Elevate 90 group, and Nate had, I believe it was last week, 9 applications come in. Right. So 9 applications, and the next highest number was like 4. So 9 applications. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, Shane, but it's a tough market out there right now. Right. So
9 applications feels like 40.
9 applications is a good week. And I was like, man, Nate, dude, what's your secret? Like, what are you doing that you can share with this little group here that's going to help them? And he said, honestly, I'm just picking up the phone and having conversations.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I said I would do. And this is a guy, and you guys will meet Nate if you come into our group, but this is a guy who has committed to getting his health in order, and he's doing triathlons. I mean, this guy, he's committed, right? But I just say that to say, like, it works. It really, really does. And so, we'd love to have anybody that wants to join that Elevate 90 group, get a little bit of accountability. I will say this too, and I think you touched on it, but I'll just reiterate it. We increase the accountability in each of these groups, right? So you expect more, we expect more as you go up. And so we want to help you achieve that goal. We'd be doing you a disservice if we didn't poke and prod and hold you a little bit accountable to being your best self.
Well, guys, listen, we are out of time. If you want to learn more about the Next Level community, which is free, or our pro membership, which is so stupidly cheap that you would just have to admit that you just don't want to grow, there's going to be a link in the show notes that accompany this podcast that will get you started down your journey. And again, there's free, there's paid, it's a la carte. We wanted to eliminate the excuses because we want you to succeed. And I'll end with this. Accidental farmers can still grow crops. Intentional farmers will always grow more.
Yeah.
What do you want to have in your life? Do you want to work your ass off 60 hours a week and sometimes produce crops and really not understand why, how, when you're going to get the next one, where it's going to come from? Or do you want to be an intentional farmer? one who is reading the upcoming charts on the weather, is
the Farmer's Almanac.
That's the Farmer's Almanac. They're intimately aware of the newest technology to save water. They're growing different crops based on the season, based on trends. Yep. You know, I grew up the grandson of two incredibly hardworking farmers, and I will tell you that they intentionally showed up every day, thoughtfully went through their ATMs, and created an over 50-year legacy that then is still reaping rewards in my family today. You can have that in your business. It starts with the foundation. It continues with some powerful decisions that you make every day. And it really comes to fruition when you elevate your game surrounded with like-minded people who are all 100% committed.
Love it.
Well, guys, we're going to be getting into more of this in upcoming episodes. Stay tuned to dig in on each of these ATMs, and we can't wait to see you on the other side.
Thanks, everyone.